Chapter 43, What Cook Was Stirring. That night, Despereaux rolled the thread from the threadmaster's lair, along hallways and down 3 flights of stairs. Reader, allow me to put this in perspective for you. Your average house mouse, or castle mouse, if you will, weighs somewhere in the neighborhood of 4 ounces. Despereaux, as you know, is in no way average. In fact, he is so small, he weighed about half of the average mouse, 2 ounces. That's all. Think about it. He has nothing but 2 ounces, and he's pushing a spool of thread that weighs as much as him. Honestly, reader, what do you think the chances are of him succeeding in his quest? Do you think he can do it?
10%.
Yes, you think he can succeed in his quest, or
Yes.
no? He's
Yes.
pushing a spool of thread as big as he is. Very heavy for a mouse. Zip. 0. Nada. Goose eggs. But you must, when you're calculating the odds, favor in his love of the princess. Love, as we've discussed, is a powerful, wonderful, ridiculous thing. And spools of thread. Even with the love and the purpose in your heart, Despereaux was very tired when he reached the door at the castle. His paws were shaking, his muscles were jumping, his tail, well, the place where his tail was throbbing. And if you don't know what throbbing feels like, when you have a really bad bruise and it cuts open and it's bleeding, throbbing is that pain you first feel. He still had a long, long way to go. And then somehow, through the rat-filled darkness of the dungeon, not knowing where he was going, and oh, reader, when he stopped to consider what was ahead of him, Despereaux was filled with an icky feeling of despair. What does despair mean? Do you think that when he realizes everything he has to do, that he feels good? Or do you think he feels really bad?
He feels scared.
Scared. Terrible. Despair is a word that shows that you feel like there's no hope. He leaned against the spool of thread and smelled the celery, and he thought of Hovis and how Hovis believed in his quest. So the mouse raised his head, squared his shoulders, and pushed the thread. He saw there was light. Despereaux froze. Cook was in the kitchen. She was stirring something. Is it a sauce? No. A stew? No. Cook was stirring soup. Soup, reader! In the king's own castle, against the king's law, right under the king's nose, Cook was making soup. The mouse looked on. Cook put her face in the steam and took a breath. She smiled and rose around her and caught the light of the candle. Despereaux knew how Cook felt about mice. He remembered her instructions. For me, kill him. The only good mouse is a dead mouse. He had to go through Cook's kitchen to get to the dungeon door. He had no time to waste. Daylight would be up and the whole castle would be awake, and a mouse would have no chance of pushing a red thread through a castle without attracting a great deal of attention. He would have to sneak past the mouse-hating Cook. And so, screwing his courage into the sticking place, Despereaux leaned against the spool of thread and set it rolling against the floor. Cook turned from the stove, the spoon in her hand, a frightened look on her face, and she shouted, "Who's there?"